Hi, it's Splinterverse. Welcome to another episode of D&D New Releases, where we offer first impressions of new third-party products for Dungeons & Dragons. We cover up to 20 titles from Dungeon Masters Guild and up to 20 more from DriveThruRPG each week. The titles are presented in alphabetical order by site, and all of them are linked in the video description. Purchasing the books using those links helps the channel, but you can also support us by purchasing one of our best-selling books. We've got lineages, suitable for any setting, as well as optional lineage rules in our Van Richten's Librum of Lineages. With our Potions Unlocked book, we have over 100 pages of material to take your potions to the next level in your game. Our Feywild Companion offers 150 pages of Feywild fun for players and DMs. Also, our book Fizban's Vault of Draconic Secrets contains over 50 pages of dragon-themed player options, including a subclass for each class, and much more. Please support the channel by purchasing our books using the links in the video description. This week's episode focuses on titles released between November 26th and December 2nd, 2021. We've got lots of 5th edition content with some OSR, Pathfinder, and Mork in the mix. All sorts of things, everything from monsters, spells, subclasses, adventures, you name it, it's in here. So stay tuned all the way to the end so you don't miss a title. First up, we have 5e RPG Academy Adventures by Michael Tresca. And it is $14.95 on sale, regularly $19.99 for 218 pages. It's not showing as 5th edition over here in the category, so if you're watching Michael, you might want to update that to make it easy to find the title. It says, "Is the magic inside you? Being a wizard requires a serious education, and only the very best attend 𝙬𝙬𝙬 Academy, where students progress through 3 levels of learning and gain valuable life skills that will help their adventuring career now and in the future. This magic school campaign setting features a detailed 4-level campus with accompanying maps, rules for playing student wizards, 9 new arcane traditions, 2 new species, 19 new familiars, 22 new monsters, and over 40 NPCs. It also has a random event generator for life at the Academy and a variety of special events, from broom racing to formal dancing, magic sports to magical duels. If you think you have what it takes, put on your best robes, grab your wand, and don your floppy hat. Academy adventures await." So this seems to be like another Harry Potter style setting, which is exciting. We have Strixhaven coming out and very soon from Wizards of the Coast. So what's in this book might work well with that, or it might be completely opposite. I'm not sure. I haven't seen that book yet, but I'm guessing they'll work well together. And in any case, it's going to give you some new stuff, whether it's subclasses, familiars, monsters, etc. So even without the school setting, there's going to be some things in here that you can use. So let's take a look inside. You've got 6 of the 218 pages to review in the free preview. So it starts off with adventure hooks, a glossary, history, and then the campus, going through all the different floors of the campus, how to play a student, classes, including subclasses, spells, and then students, faculty, and staff, and monsters, as well as campus life, including things like practical wizardry, daily life, and extracurricular activities. So lots of stuff in here. And there's sort of a story, little intro here, and then a traditional intro. And let's see what we can read for you. Academy Glossary, that looks fun. Let's scroll back up and zoom in here so we can read a little bit of this. It says, if you've ever wanted to play a game inspired by the Harry Potter series and anime like Fairy Tail, Little Witch Academia, etc., then this is for you. So, Adventure Hooks survive school. At the Academy, simply surviving day-to-day life is adventure enough. Depending on their background, students may be unfamiliar with the rhythm of daily academic life. Even sophisticated characters from big cities will find wonder and terror in the corners of 𝙬𝙬𝙬. Find romance. A common theme in student games is dating, and the Academy is no different. Close proximity and shared challenges sparks romance between students. There are barriers, though, particularly when dating rival triptychs or when one student excels academically and the other fares poorly. So just a few of the hooks. They've got a few more here. It looks like a total of 7. And then they've got a glossary, customizing your campaign. Looks like it could be a lot of fun. And I'm sure there's stuff you can mix in here with Strixhaven or other schools, other locations. And just even using the monsters or the subclasses could be fun. So check it out under 5e RPG Academy Adventures in the links below and give it a click. Next, we've got Alas Poor Otto for Mork Borg from Fire Ruby Designs, and it is a suggested price of $4 on Pay What You Want. And I'm excited to see they're using the new Mork Borg category that was recently added, so that you can specifically look for Mork Borg. You can also see it over here. So very cool. It's like a subcategory of OSR. It says the wizard in Clueless is dead. A spiked club to the back of the head has that effect no matter how many scrolls you own. Brigands have looted his body within sight of his manse, and his scrolls disintegrate into the bloody mud around him. His servant Otto saw the murder, but his presence in the backlit doorway scared the murderers away for the time being. Now Otto has retreated to the alchemical workshop to help himself to all the liquor he can find. He has inadvertently mixed several potions together in his guts, and the weird magical concoction has had peculiar effects. So, and it says it's an adventure, of course, for Mork Borg. Let's take a look inside. So you get to see 10 of the 16 pages, so more than half. With some fun layout and artwork, as usual, for a Mork Borg book. Got a little map here at the end with some details of what's going on and the various points of interest in the map. Let's scroll back up and read a little bit for you. It seems like there's some details on the characters. There's one called Splinters, which sounds familiar, so let me read that. The concoction has had 2 effects. It has made Otto very drunk, and it has manifested his character traits into separate versions of himself, magical splinters. While the original Otto lies stupefied on the floor, each considers itself to be the real Otto, and others to be imposters. Bizarrely, the physical nature of these splinters reflects the importance of the character trait to poor Otto. The following 4 splinters are present in the building, but others may also be conjured, reflecting other passions as the game's master decrees. The splinters wander around the manse and may be encountered as drama and whim dictate. So they have their own little splinterverse going on here. And so one is called Crazed Otto and Choleric Otto and Mournful Otto, Jocular Otto. Lots of Ottos. So we'll just read a little bit about Choleric Otto. Appearing as a huge swollen Otto, thick with ropes of muscle and replete with vicious fangs and claws, the splinter manifests Otto's rage. At the game master's discretion, it may be reasoned with, but more likely it will attack others on sight. Such are the sad days we live in. Luckily, there's only one Choleric Otto. Rage is rage, after all. And then it's got the stats, of course, and an action. So very fun. I like this. Seems like it could be a different style of an adventure. You've got this character who's seeing splinter versions of itself, and looks like a good time, especially if you like Mork Borg or OSR. So I recommend checking it out under Alas Poor Otto in the links below. Give it a click. Next we've got Alchemy and Poisoncraft with this really nice cover. It's from Cabal of Enchantment. It's on sale for $26.67 right now, normally $28.01. It's 224 pages with authors Berkamir Gunnar and Eunice Chihan Karlarli. And it says it's 5th edition compatible, so that's good. You can see here in the artwork quite a bit of stuff. Everything from potions, poisons, alchemical substances, herbs and components, concoctions, explosives, items and equipment, feats, backgrounds, monsters, magical items, spells, alchemical procedures, a class, organizations, and 27 archetypes. So lots of stuff to be had in here. It says it offers a variety of content for every aspect of the game with an alchemical influence and a touch of creative yet deadly poisons. The aspects vary from character options for players to the game master tools and world building tools. They will introduce wondrous alchemy to unique worlds. Aside from a collection of monsters, alchemical items, and components, it offers a philosophical and ethical approach on alchemy to aid story building. There were times that alchemy might have been considered a simple endeavor, but those times are long past, as the great minds of their times were able to master it through various disciplines and developed it further with unimaginable experiments. The one reason that alchemy and poisoncraft are mentioned separately is that the art of making poisons is a deeply detailed discipline of alchemy that surpasses all other methods in many ways. To master alchemy is one thing, but to master the art of crafting poisons is a whole different level of understanding, which requires a lifetime of work and experimentation. So it's got a little video here. It looks like it was a Kickstarter originally, so you can watch the video. There's no full-size preview, but we'll take a look at the quick preview. See if there's anything. I think the text is going to be too small for us to be able to read any of it to you, but it looks very well laid out. Nice artwork. Yeah, and if you're watching Cabal of Enchantment, I would encourage you, since you have 224 pages, to either add a full-size preview or maybe include some images in here so we can just check out your writing. People like to check out your writing, see if it's good before they make the purchase. And you may have tried to add a full-size and it just didn't work. There's frequently issues with the full-size previews, so understandable. In any case, the artwork looks really good. The page count looks really good. This list of what's in there looks really good. I think, you can always have room for more spells, more subclasses. All these alchemical things sound really fun. If you bought my book, Potions Unlocked, this could be more of similar stuff that works well with it. So that's another customer for you, is people that have bought that book. And yeah, I think there's just always more to explore in the alchemy front, especially having a class of alchemy. That's really cool too. So check it out under Alchemy and Poisoncraft in the links below and give it a click. Next, we've got Free Map Friday number 122. And the cover is really just the map, which has all of these labels on it, these little numbers, and lots of rooms. It looks really fun, and it's entirely free. It's from Paths to Adventure, and it says, the return of Free Map Friday. Every Friday I post a new free map to my Twitter feed. By request of several followers, I was asked if I would add my free map releases here so that they could be included in their library purchases. So very nice of 𝘽𝙤𝙤𝙬𝙤 to decide to do that. I think it is really helpful. It says the map theme for this one is Keepers of the Crystals, and it says each Free Map Friday zip file contains 5100 by 3300 pixel, 600 dpi high resolution versions of a single dungeon map, including VTT version, a player version with grids, a player version without grids, and a dungeon master map. So that's a lot for free, especially, and that DPI is really high, which is nice. You have to have at least 300 DPI to do a print book. So 600 DPI is double what you need to do a print book. So that's really nice. That means maybe you could even do posters with it. So very fun. I love the look of the map. I think it's very playful. I like the icons in here. It's very distinct style. And it's 100% free. So when I saw this, I was like, I've got to share this. And I think we've got to look for more. And it looks like the author and artist is Justin Andrew Mason. So I do want to get the name out there. But yeah, check it out. Maybe go follow Justin and get some more of these every week. It looks like it's every Friday. I think that's incredible. So yeah, grab it under Free Map Friday in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we've got Treasure Fiends and Fiendish Treasures under Gregorius 21778. It is for OSR, Labyrinth Lord, and other OSR, including Lamentations, I guess is how you say that, of the Flame Princess. And it says, we are all after something nice that otherwise would be rather expensive but is now up for grabs, or being cheap, or We are offering stuff for sale and hope to gain some money. It is about treasures in one way or the other, isn't it? Well, at least you know now the inspiration and general concept of the ideas that spawned the 6 monsters and 5 treasure curses in this PDF. So it's pay what you want. 75 cents is the suggested price for the 7 pages. And the author is 𝘏𝙤𝙘𝙤, or 𝘏𝙤𝙘𝙤, aka Gregorius 21778, with a number of artists. And let's take a look inside. So again, this is for OSR, but I do enjoy the artwork. And so you've got the hoarding flute worm, the gem harpy, the tarnished lich, the Midas golem, the coin guard, the emarachnid, and then you've got fiendish treasure sort of curses. So we'll read one of those. Lantern of the Golden Shine, a cursed enchanted lantern that runs thrice as long on lamp oil as it naturally should. The lantern, as well as the light it creates, will identify as magical. Every metal that is revealed to the sight by its light, and its light only, will appear to be gold, even after any kind of test or inspection that is not magical in nature. This effect ends when other light but those given by this lantern falls onto said metal objects. So this lantern's like tricking you into thinking that whatever it's casting light on is made of gold. So that could be interesting. Could have some fun uses for that. And then you've got, let's look at the coin guard here. It says those who have riches want to guard them, but which guard can be trusted? The coin guard is a 5th level magic user spell invented by the court wizard of Sultan of days gone by. Cast upon a heap of coins that counts at least 1,000 pieces, the spell will have it turn into the shape of a humanoid guardian and attack as soon as somebody enters the room it is in. Individual persons may be excluded by name during the casting. All weapons but great weapons, or those with a large head for striking, pass through the coin guard without doing harm, and the aforementioned have their damage halved. The coin guard in turn strikes with whipping arms that hit like flails. So, and I love the art. So, lots of fun. And, you know, treasure is a part of almost all of the Dungeons and Dragons games. So, I'm sure you could easily adapt some of these. Even that lantern we talked about, that could be 5th edition easily, even though this is an OSR title. So, check it out under Gregorius 21778 Treasure Fiends in the links below and give it a click. Next, we've got Kocho's Guide to Redemption, Common Goblins, by Elaine Giorla, and it's $1.95 for 16 pages. It says it's a series describing the various monstrous peoples of 𝘏𝙬 and elsewhere. So this is for Scarred Lands. This first installment is focused on the Goblin people. In these pages, you will find a brief history of the Goblin people in 𝘏𝙬 and the Scarred Lands, a quick overview of the main regions of 𝘏𝙬 where goblins can be found, the description of 5 goblin tribes, such as the Bloodstone, the Molten Bronze, or the Ocean Dream. For players, the goblin people with 3 different heritages to choose from, 10 variant goblins ranging from CR 1/2 to 10, inspired by the rich lore and history of the Scarred Lands, such as the fire-exploding oil-drenched or the mighty Horde Caller. The titular character Kocho is a Manticora bard, traveler, and sociologist who wanders throughout the continent to document and understand the life of the various peoples of 𝘏𝙬, their struggles, their successes, and their demise. Cool, so let's check it out. Inside, you get to see 7 of the 16 pages with some very nice artwork. So it looks like there's common goblins like with history, then player goblins, and then monster goblins with all kinds of options there. So here's the history, the tribes, and then players. So this is what you would use to basically make the goblins a player race. And then you've got the monsters here at the end. So you've got the Goblin Beastkeeper, the Filcher. So several variations of goblins there. Let's go back up and read a little bit about the goblins' history. So again, this is set in the Scarred Lands. Some of the lore is going to be connected to that. It says, when Gormoth created the Virans, the first known example of sentient peoples, the other Titans became jealous of his creation and made humanoids of their own. According to the legends, Thulkus spawned the first goblin horde, hoping that their sheer number would overwhelm and destroy the other peoples. Soon, however, the Iron Lord grew bored of his creation and turned his gaze elsewhere. While goblins still followed in his giant footsteps, they were otherwise without any form of leadership and started spreading across the world. The goblins were quick to adapt and soon could be found in all regions of 𝙬𝙤. However, since they were unable to gather in a single nation, they could never dominate the continent like the Asathi, the Silurians, or the humans did. Some of the ancient empires would either enslave the goblins, using them as forced labor, servants, or living shields for their armies, while the others would drive them away from their lands. Oh, well, that's sad. Becoming living shields. Well, it's cool, though, that there's this much detail and that it ties into the Scarred Lands, and then you've got all these different types. I mean, so many different types of goblins. You get tired of the same goblin over and over, right? So this gives you a mix of stat blocks for 5th edition that you can use, and some lore that ties into Scarred Lands if you're playing in that setting, or you want to use it elsewhere. That works too. So check it out under Kocho's Guide to Redemption in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we've got Latin American Monsters from Legendary Games, 1999 for 120 pages. Authors Miguel Colon, Ismael Alvarez, Robert J. Grady, and Jason Nelson. It says Latin American Monsters brings you 120 pages of creatures from Central and South America and the Caribbean. From Azatl to Zuvimbi, you'll find divine messengers and protectors like the Magui and 𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬, alongside sinister fiends like the 𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬 and 𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬, the Flayed Lord, living fae like Curupira and Encantado, alongside deathless terrors like Urona and 𝙤𝙤𝙬𝙬𝙬, living engines of destruction like Ayahuasca and Chupacabra, and unliving constructs like the Quetzalcoatl and Zolo Guardian. Guardians of the Wild like the Tunch and the Medramunti stand beside fantastic versions of real-world creatures like the anaconda, giant iguana, black caiman, jaguar, and giant mantis shrimp. Wherever your campaign takes you, you'll find an incredible collection of marvelous monsters to challenge the mightiest heroes. They are perfect for running a campaign directly inspired by the Americas, of course, but are equally awesome whenever you just need exciting new creatures your players may have never seen before. So, if you're doing like a Maztica style, old school kind of campaign, or, something else inspired by Mayan, Incan, Aztec civilizations, these could work, or you could just spring them in on the players somewhere. There's lots of circumstances where a bad actor is sort of bringing together monsters from all over the place to stock their dungeon, or they're using portals to bring in different monsters. So you really can have almost any excuse to bring in random monsters, and might even inspire somebody to take a look at some of the myths that in the real world that inspired some of these creatures. You can see tons and tons of creatures in here, and there's even some new spells at the end, it looks like. So very cool. This is the product's hyperlinked, so that's nice. That's always helpful. And let's see here. So you got your intro, list of creatures by cultural region. So everywhere from Argentina to Venezuela is covered. Even got Puerto Rico, Mexico, El Salvador, Cuba. I mean, just tons of countries represented. So that's nice. And then it's got list of creatures. You've got all the types represented: aberration, beast, celestial, etc. And then by challenge rating, so it goes from 0 all the way to 30. Not continuous. There are a couple of the higher numbers missed, but that's okay. That's normal. You don't always get every single CR number, and that's totally fine. But it's nice they have a 21, a 22, a 25, and a 30. So very, very good. Those higher ones are hard to find. There just aren't a lot of books that do it. So it's nice that they've got more than 4 over 20. So very cool. So we get to see the Abuku here with some fun artwork. And let's zoom in on that and read that. It says, these nocturnal fiends are deadly hunters who embody plagues, poisons, and all manner of physical taint and corruption that rots bodies from the inside out. They are said to arise from the spirits of poisoners and murderers in life, or even adulterers and carnal predators, reborn in filthy, hairy, stinking bodies that embody their every bestial craving and murderous impulse. They often pierce or carve a hole in the skull of their victims before sucking out the entire content of bodily fluids and organs. They may roll unconscious prey in palm leaves and beat or roast the body to tenderize it. In either case, they usually leave the empty skin of their victim hanging from a tree after they have completed their feast. The Abuku is 6 feet tall and weighs 150 to 200 pounds. And then it talks about their parenting and then their toxic tincture. It says, for the toxic tincture, the hairs of an Abuku's armpits are said to enhance poisons, whether freely given or harvested from a captive creature. So that's interesting. And, I like that this is again connected to a real life legend. So you could look up Abuku and even, tweak things based on your understanding of the legends. So it's exciting. It's exciting that they're bringing to life all of these legends with this really cool artwork. I mean, that looks like a really distinct character that you wouldn't have seen maybe otherwise. So I'm excited by this. The Legendary Games has done a series of these. You can see some of the other ones down here. There's Asian monsters, sea monsters, mythos monsters. So they've done, kind of a series of bestiaries. And as I said, you can always find room for more monsters. So check it out under Latin American Monsters in the links below and give it a click. Next we've got Madcap. It says flaunt Arcana and Ego alike with this dazzling new class for the world's greatest role-playing game. Gelatinous Cubicles is the publisher. It's $4.99 for 13 pages. Author John Engstrom, Trent Hansen, Julian Hunter, James Urbeck. It says Madcap is a new charisma-based half-caster. It embodies the spell sword 𝙎𝙤𝙎𝙪𝙧𝙚 archetype, topped off with the attention-grabbing flavor. Destructive, flashy magic and powerful physical stunts make up the core of the Madcap playstyle. Madcap comes packed with content including the full class, 4 original spells, character-building tables, and 4 diverse subclasses, each focusing on a Madcap persona from hero to tormentor. So very fun. Looks like a really cool idea. And let's take a look inside. Very nice artwork. I'm really enjoying that already. And so this is a description of the class, and there's various lore tables, and then it goes into the building with quick build, and then the full-blown chart, as well as the class features. So you get to see pretty much everything other than the subclasses. So you can pretty much read the whole class here because it's six pages of the 13 are visible. So let's see what we can read a little bit here. It says Madcaps draw power from their personality through a magical force called ego. This connection between a Madcap's persona and their power often leads them to grow more eccentric as they develop their skills. Confidence is the driving factor behind a Madcap's magical abilities. As a Madcap becomes more talented and dangerous, they develop a persona, an exaggeration of themselves, or a version of themselves at least, that they project into their fighting and magical abilities. This persona grants them specialized talents and abilities, flavored by the Madcap's unique personal flair. And it says Madcaps combine arcane and martial prowess, channeling magical abilities alongside their honed weapon techniques and acrobatic skill. They are experts at using magic to augment their natural physical talents, combining elemental energy with nimble stunts and infusing the magic of their spells into their weapons. And then just to give you a little bit of the flavor here, it says element of personality. The magic of the Madcap reflects aspects of their personality. This manifestation leads Madcaps often wearing their hearts on their sleeves when weaving magic, as their spellcasting necessarily reflects their emotional disposition. And so then there's this whole table to determine some of the key aspects of your personality, such as straightforward and unconcerned with the potential to offend others. Your blunt and sometimes bitter disposition is accompanied by frost magic. You're notoriously fickle and moody, a trait complemented by lightning magic. Bubbly and ever optimistic, your bright nature is indicative of radiant magic. So kind of tying it to personalities, which is nice. So it looks like a fun time and a brand new class with subclasses and really stunning artwork. So I think it'll be a really enjoyable read for you. So check it out under Madcap in the links below and give it a click. Next, we've got Metropolita, customizable generic fantasy maps, The Forged Empire, Volume 1, Xanthopolis. And as you can see, it's this cool looking map with various options. It says it's $250 for the 6 pages, and it can help minimize the amount of prep time you need for your next homebrew campaign. It's a modular, this series, Metropolita, is a modular collection of Metropolis maps which can be easily integrated into any fantasy RPG campaign setting, particularly if you're building your own. Each Metropolitan module can help jumpstart your creativity in a full-color isometric city map, a one-page explanation of how and why the city was founded, as well as a page of history checks for prominent city landmarks. Each volume includes an unlabeled fill-in-the-blanks version of the city map, so you can name your own city, patron deities, founders, etc. Each unlabeled map also provides 38 numbered landmarks, which you can name yourself. And so, yeah, you're getting variations of the map. And let's take a look at the preview. So you can see here, this is a sort of the full map with everything labeled, listing all the patron deities, the city founders, the noble houses, the priesthood, the exemplars, and then the key to the map with all the numbered items. And then kind of history background and some hidden lore. And then down here is just the numbers with places for notes. So very nice. And this is one of many. They even have a free one that you can get. So I wanted to include this one because I particularly like the name and some of the lore that I was looking at. But if you click the link in the video description, you can click on the publisher and then see all of them, including the free one. So you can grab the free one to try it out. It's a sampler. So you can see here the isometric maps with all the numbers and then the deities up there being listed, and then the map key of all the places. So then let's just read a little bit about the founding of Xanthopolis. It says, the final elven citadel, which fell to the Volcanate Imperium, was an ancient port city called Xanthia. King Celephon conquered the city in a famous naval battle and renamed this city Xanthopolis. Shortly thereafter, the Battle of Xanthian Bridge is still considered required reading by military historians, as it was a conflict won primarily through cunning and bravery rather than overt martial tactics. And this goes on, right? So there's even more history of this city. And then it gives you some of the landmarks with various numbers to tell you what you're looking at or where to look for it. And then down here they have the hidden lore. So each landmark entry below is accompanied by a suggested difficulty class for discovering a specific piece of lore related to the corresponding landmark listed on the map. So they can complete a DC 10 and learn about the Xanthian Bridge, that most sailing vessels can be blocked from crossing the strait at the whim of the harbor master by simply lowering the drawbridge. But there is also a massive chain lying beneath the water at the base of the bridge that can be pulled taut to halt maritime travel entirely. Very interesting. So very detailed, well written. I like it. And as I said, Hinterland Map View has a number of products, including a free one for you to check out. They're inexpensive. I mean, $250 for this is reasonable. And like I said, you can click on it and check out some of their other ones. It might even be down here. I think it's, yeah, this one right here, the free sampler. So check it out under Metropolita in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we've got Mindflayer Tomb Battle Map. It's by One Day GM. It's a $1.29 suggested price on Pay What You Want. It says it's an ancient cavern turned into an illithid burial worshipping place, accompanied by gigantic tendrils protruding from walls and serving as a lair to the alien creature residing deep within the tunnels. It has a line art variant included, so you can print it out and make notes on it, and a high-resolution colored version. So let's take a look inside. So I think the artwork is just really beautiful. I mean, look at this kind of squid-like character, and there's a sarcophagus here. There's some just nice detailing down here. Another table or something going on there. And yeah, I really like it. And there's an entry here that you can see. And then you've got the line art version, which can be easier to print for you. So very nice. I was struck by how well made this is, and it doesn't look like somebody just used some assets and threw it together. Seems like it was drawn and detailed very nicely. And for mind flayers or other things, similar things, I think this could be really beautiful, fun for your players to explore. And you can see a statue in there and this altar. So a lot going on. And it's pay what you want. So it's really inexpensive and beautiful. So check it out under Mindflayer Tomb in the links below and give it a click. Next we got Nightfell Bestiary, or Bestiary. So we covered Nightfell's sort of, I guess, DM's guide that came out in one of our previous episodes. And this week they released the Bestiary and the adventure book. So I had to pick one to include. So I wanted to talk about the Bestiary, but they do have the other titles down here that you can check out as well as a little video introducing it. It's from Mana Project Studio. It's $9.99 for 5th edition, 168 pages, with the primary author being Angelo Peluso. It says, and it's available in both Italian and English, so that's nice. And I think it's separate files. I don't think they're in the same file, so that's nice as well. It says Nightfell is an original horror fantasy setting for 5th edition of the most famous role-playing game in the world, of course. This setting will guide you into a dark world full of terror and despair. The undeads are coming back from the afterlife, and the Eternals are craving the nullification of reality. You will face ancient horrors, superstition, and occultism. You will learn to follow the moon as your only guide in this nocturnal world. In this ruthless setting, players will play night explorers, resilient survivors who have adapted to the lunar age, an era where the sun is dead and life still endure only thanks to the last primordial beings. It includes 7 chapters dedicated to the creatures of the Nightfell. So let's take a look inside. You get to see 7 of the 168 pages. And as with the previous version, there's some gorgeous artwork, wonderful layout. Here's something called 𝙤𝙤𝙧𝙬𝙧𝙪 or Arisen. And you got the Lemur, Rotten Arisen, Azure Woman. And again, they're all beautifully illustrated with the full stat block. And I really enjoy the style of the pages here. Just looks like it's going to be a beautiful read, even if, you just want to flip through and enjoy the imagery. You can just do that. So it's Azure Woman. Here, inhuman wailing breaks the silence of the ancient ruins of Ermin. Stones and bricks guard the secrets of tragic stories, while the glories of past eras give way to dereliction. In forgotten places, ancient spirits of betrayed or rejected women roam without any comfort. The Azure Women are what remains of their lost desire. Aura of despair. When you cross an abandoned place, at times you can perceive an atmosphere of epidemic despair and hear a subdued cry in the dark. Many have learned to connect this contagious discouragement with the presence of ghosts of women who have suffered in life and who spread these negative sensations in the environment they haunt. The Azure Women are a particular type of ghost which takes shape where a woman dies in despair or abandonment. They can be sorrowful widows, mothers who have lost their children, and victims of femicides. Those who come into contact with these sad ghosts can perceive their anguish and even begin to harbor suicidal thoughts. And then you've got the actions, Gloomy Weep. It says the Azure Woman begins to weep grimly. Each creature that isn't an undead or a construct that can hear the weep within 60 feet of it must make a wisdom saving throw, taking psychic damage and being stunned on a failed save, or half as much damage and no other ill effects on a successful one. An afflicted creature must make another wisdom saving throw at the end on each of its turns, ending the effect on itself on a success. So yeah, there's some interesting creatures in here. This is an Amanatadore. So, yeah, I think should explore this, see if it's got creatures that interest you. You don't even need to be playing Nightfell to use these creatures, just like we talked about in some of the other bestiaries we've seen this week. You can always have room for a new bestiary and pull out these creatures, use them for other things, or use them for Nightfell, which is a fun campaign setting from what I can tell. So check it out under Nightfell Bestiary in the links below and give it a click. Next, we've got the Oracle issue 17. It's called the Opposites issue. So it's from the Grinning Frog, $9 for 52 pages with author Stephen Hart and the Grinning Frog. And this is really, it says it's compatible with Storyteller, Dungeons and Dragons, system agnostic, basically. It says think cults versus religious orders, saints versus sinners, large creatures versus small ones, as far as opposites as being the theme. So the contents, since this is a zine, it includes game advice, avoiding binary thinking, and why yin and yang can really help, 10 orders and 10 cults briefly introduced along with a random table to generate their headquarters name, 6 detailed NPCs including a living construct, a knight, a cavalier, a ronin, an assassin, and a priest, 34 adventure hooks that relate to orders and cults, Hal and Roger talking about 5 of the larger and smaller creatures that they have encountered, 2 cool locations including a living forest, 2 magic items, both with 2 different powers, extreme characters, how to use them to set a scene, 8 encounters with opposing individuals, 10 trinkets and treasure, and Vengeance is Mine, saith the Lord, a short article on wearing angels, including 8 story hooks, and then a picture prompt to get you thinking creatively. So, sounds fun, and here's some of the contents. You can see kind of the images of all the different sections and how the layouts work, and I can see how this would be useful for pretty much any game. Yeah, very nice artwork. So I like it. Let's take a look inside. So you get to see 5 of the 52 pages. It is in landscape format, which, you know, is nice because most screens are landscape. So yeah, very nice. Let's zoom in and see if there's a little bit we can read for you. It's mostly intro stuff, so looks like there really isn't any like of the main text to read, but that's okay. We can take a closer look here at the table of contents. We've got the NPCs, so something called Nagath Chronicler, Order of the Moon, Sir Antonia, First Sword, Cult of Stars, Lady Kana, Ronin, Cult of Chaos. So very nice names. Creatures, they've got Lightning Bug, Mushroom Fairies, Lava Ogres, the Castle King, Saber Wolf. Magic item, they've got the Peg Knight coin and Compass Decanter. But even just looking down here, you can see that the way that they're doing these tables, that it's going to work for pretty much any system. So that's nice. Yeah, it looks like a lot of fun stuff. And, you know, it's got 52 pages, so that's a lot of content. So check it out under Oracle issue 17 in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we got Questmaster from Spencer Hibnick. It says, join a comedy show that pits 5 teams of adventurers against a series of ridiculous quests in this adventure for 5th to 8th level characters. And it's $4.95 for 16 pages. It says, over the past few moons, 5 teams of adventurers of varying levels of valor and competence have completed 4 ridiculous quests for our amusement. Why did they risk their lives and sanity to win this? A solid gold bust of my magnificent head, which I'm sure they'll melt down for beer money. Join a comedy show that pits 5 teams of adventurers in ridiculous quests. It says it's inspired by the British panel show Taskmaster. Compete against the star scale kobolds, unnecessary umlauts, the Guild of Friends, and Cult to win fantasy role-playing's greatest prize, a large amount of gold. So it's a nice little parody of a game show in the UK. So you've got the table of contents, intro, and then beginning of the adventure. So you get to see 3 of the 16 pages. So this is the Questmaster Arena is a large outdoor venue. Several thousand people of all ages and backgrounds pack into the stands, bubbling with excitement as beer peddlers trawl the aisles. A tall silver-scaled half-dragon in a sharp black doublet sits on a plush throne on one side of the stage. Beside him stands a scruffy-haired minotaur in a matching doublet. On the opposite side of the stage, 5 groups of adventurers, yours included, sit on marble benches. Center stage is home to a pedestal displaying a golden bust of a half-dragon. The half-dragon speaks into a rod, and his voice booms across the arena. Hello, and welcome to Questmaster. The crowd erupts into cheers. So it's kind of giving you that game show introduction. And then you've got all kinds of information about the other groups over here. And the first kind of quiz, it looks like. The first quest. So yeah, if you're looking to have like a game show feeling, something fun, different, I like the little names of the opposing teams. Those are fun and playful. Something humorous, then I think Questmaster could be for you. So look for it under Questmaster in the links in the video description and give it a click. A Quiet Midwinter, an old school heist with the hallmarks of a holiday special. It's designed for old school essentials OSR. It's by R. Rook Games and author Richard Ruan. It is a suggested price of $4.50 on Pay What You Want. It says a very queer holiday themed fantasy heist adventure for old school essentials or your favorite BX clone or other OSR. In the time of legends, when the gods, fae, and demons finished their war, they signed their peace treaty on Midwinter Night in the village of Quiet. Midwinter has been sacred throughout the known lands ever since, and Quiet's Midwinter celebration is legendary. Once a year, on Midwinter Night, Vida the Divine Seer receives a message from the demons of the Gorge and the gods in the mountain, naming those of the mortal world who the gods and demons agree are the exceptionally virtuous and exceptionally wicked. Vida brings the list, which everyone calls the naughty and nice list, to Quiet and gives it to the Fae ambassador Archon Winter. But this year, Vida is missing, Archon Winter is drinking, and everyone in town is struggling to find the Midwinter spirit. That means it's a perfect time to steal something, whether it's Archon Winter's gifts, the Divine Seer's missing list, the mayor's pre-signed requisition papers, or even just the town's spirits. This heist adventure for low levels includes 5 locations, over a dozen NPCs, an airship pulled by flying wolfhounds, multiple townsfolk facing holiday crises, and even a lightly cursed treasure or two. Inspired by holiday films with certain hallmarks. So it's very creative, another kind of parody situation, but this one's a holiday focused one, so I could see a lot of people playing this around the holidays, having fun with it. Again, amusing everyone at the table. And it's 4 pages out of 15 in the preview you get to see. And got some of the text from the catalog on that page, so we're not going to read that, but you've got information here on the missing seer, the mayor's house, and then some of the maps and the last inn. So we'll just go up here and read a little bit about the mayor's house. If the players go to the mayor's house, they'll find themselves at a small and rather staid party filled with about 24 minor but haughty nobles and 1 annoyed Fae Archon. None of these people know much useful about finding the seer, but they may know a few other things. Investigating upstairs will lead to several private sitting rooms and sleeping chambers, each of which has at least 1 oil painting of Master Thief Dynaz and Mayor lost together as a couple. Even if none of the party know Dynaz, they should recognize him from the gathering in the courtyard, where the seer didn't show up. He was the one who left very early, just after Archon Winter showed up. Almost anyone who was in the courtyard for the seer's announcement could see that Dynaz and Tilton kept glancing longingly at each other while trying to act nonchalant. So you got some romance in here, just like Hallmark movies or Lifetime movies for the holidays. So lots of fun and perfectly timed for the holidays. So yeah, consider this if you're trying to put together a one-shot for either your regular table that's holiday themed, or maybe you're going to have some guests in for the holiday that you want to have some D&D for, and one-shots are perfect for that because you don't have that ongoing campaign that you're not going to get to continue when they go back home. So check it out under Quiet Midwinter in the links below and give it a click. Next we have Read Magic, 5th World Magic 1 from Orphaned Bookworm Productions, LLC, author Connor Bates, $1.99 for 12 pages. it says it brings 10 spells from the 5th edition of D&D, tweaks and translates them to work with the Pathfinder role-playing game. And in the case of the world of there's some word of healing spells, so they have variations of those. So I found this really interesting because it's taking these 5th edition spells, popular ones, and bringing them into Pathfinder, which is nice, because Pathfinder at its core is really the old version of Dungeons and Dragons. It's like 3.5 Dungeons and Dragons. So since this is for Pathfinder 1, it's kind of also for an older versions of Dungeons and Dragons. So if there's some modern spells, and this is volume 1, so presumably they're going to do others. If there's some modern 5th edition spells that you don't want to take the trouble to convert to 3.5 or Pathfinder 1, then this series is going to work for you. So you've got some... says welcome to Read Magic. You've got all these spells here. You've got Aura, Purity, Deific Bolt, Firebolt, Mocking Jibe, Moonlight, Naturecraft, Shroud of Icy Mist, Fine Strike, Void Eruption, and Word of Light variations, and Word of Moderate Healing, etc. Now, they can't use the names from the 5th edition, right? They have to create their own, but there's Aura of Impurity, Cure Grievous Wounds, Firebolt, and some additional stuff, greater stuff in here as well, because 3rd edition had some of those funny spells where you could variations of them. So you got Aura Purity. We'll read that one. It says you create a soothing aura out to 30 feet that moves with you, and any ally in the aura, including yourself, is immune to non-magical disease and poison and gains a +4 bonus on saves versus magical diseases and poisons and spells or effects that cause the blinded, deafened, shaken, frightened, panicked, paralyzed, and stunned conditions. This does not remove or suppress conditions, poisons, or diseases already present on an ally upon entering the aura. And then there's other things like Firebolt. A bolt of fire is launched from your hand and shoots toward your target. You must succeed on a ranged touch attack with the bolt to deal damage to the target. The bolt deals 1d3 fire damage. This magical flame cannot be used to ignite a fire. So again, bringing these things in, you've got your Mocking Jibe. Very familiar stuff, but with different names and for Pathfinder. And this is just the start of that, it seems like to me. So for $2, you can have some of your favorites sort of ported into 3.5. You can even use the old names, the original names at your own table if you want for these spells, because it's your world. You get to do what you want there at home. Publishers are restricted by the licensing options, right? So check it out under Read Magic in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we got the Sugar Crumb Fairy by Anthony Alipio, and it says it's an unexpected excursion into the plane of fairy for 3rd level, and it's on sale for $1.95, normally $2.95 for 20 pages, 5th edition, and it's on sale for just for a few more days, so hopefully you can check it out before the sale goes away. It's 33% off. It says a pixie-prinked page of parchment creates a perilous portal in this fairy tale adventure. Over the last several weeks, inhabitants of Everton Village have been going missing, only to return shortly after, confused and unable to account for their absence. It seemed like just a minor unsolved mystery until Granny Scarlet, the town's beloved baker, disappeared and never came back. As the mystery unfolds, a magical door to the plane of fairy opens, and the return trip home may end up being very costly indeed. It's a 4 to 6 hour one-shot for 3 to 4 players of 3rd or 4th level, and it's got combat, social, and exploration challenges, and a one-way or round-trip travel to basically the Feywild. So let's take a look inside. You get to see 3 of the 20 pages. So you got an intro, adventure background, the outline, the hooks, dramatis personae, and then you go right into Act 1 and with some of the characters. So we'll read a little bit of the adventure here. This is Applewine Inn. Let's read about Applewine Inn. Everton is a small walkable village and has one tavern, the Applewine Inn. The inn's proprietress and barkeep is 𝙎𝙤𝙘𝙀, a middle-aged human woman with tan skin and straight black hair. She knows all the locals, hears all the gossip, and is a great starting point for information. Though some of her details might be slightly off and or embellished for flair, she does know which townspeople have gone missing and where they live and work. Yeah, the mayor and the town guard looked into Granny's disappearance. They rounded up all the folks who'd gone missing, but none of them remember anything about where they'd been or how they got back, so nothing much came of it. That's a quote from 𝙎𝙤𝙀 with my terrible performance of it, but I'm doing this on the fly. I haven't read all this before. So you've got the book Guardian. It says, Ginny Rose, a 4-year-old girl who loved grandma's cookies, guards a secret treasure, the manuscript of Mischief, a book of children's fairy tales. If the party decides to head to Zebeda's house, they find the dressmaker quite busy in the middle of seaming together a complex piece. If asked about the book, she distractedly directs the PCs to the adjoining room where Ginny Rose is playing. And then you have this social challenge with all of the things and the various DC checks that you can do. So, looks fun. Lots of little things and fairy tale oriented and leads to the Feywild. So maybe you want to do Wild Beyond the Witchlight, but you don't want to do the whole carnival part. Maybe you can just pick out the things you need from the carnival to make the story work. Have them do this Crumb Fairy, and then off they go into the Feywild at the end, and you can pick up from there. So, or you can, have them go into the Feywild, and my book Feywild Companion, we have Dualis and adventures in our book that, Dualis being the domain of delight, and then other adventures in our book that you could use this as a lead into. So check it out. It's under Crumb Fairy in the links below, and give it a click. Next we have Thump, Thump, Thump by Niznock Speaks. It's Pay What You Want. Suggest a price of $2.50 for 7 pages. Author William Fisher. The earth shook the day the 𝘽𝙤𝙀 arose from the bowels of hell. Though mighty heroes eventually drove the titanic hellworm back into the depths, a bone-rattling thumping now emanates from the monster's burrow. Does 𝘽𝙤𝙀 arise again, or is an even more sinister force behind the strange vibrations? It's a mini-adventure for level 5 characters for 5th edition. And let's look inside. So you can see all 7 pages of the whole book. And you got the background, the character hooks, and then various areas with stats, fun little map. Yeah, it looks like it could be a fun little cavern crawl here. So let's see, what can we read for you? Let's read the background. It says, generation ago, a hellworm known to scholars as 𝘽𝙁 the Placable burst from the earth and ravaged the countryside. For weeks, 𝘽𝙁 left a trail of destruction in its wake, until finally a band of heroes gave their lives to force 𝘽𝙁 back underground in honor of this noble sacrifice. Locals interred the bodies of the brave adventurers in a shrine carved from the very burrow 𝘽𝙁 left behind. Recently, a clan of Dwargar stumbled upon 𝘽𝙁's burrow. Recognizing the tunnels for what they were, the Dwargar made plans to call the hellworm back to the surface. They erected an enormous clockwork piston in the burrow's depths, hoping the mechanism's vibrations would provide 𝘽𝙁's return. Unless the characters defeat the Dwargar and disable their insane contraption, 𝘽𝙁 rises again to devastate the area. So, very nice setup, especially for such a short adventure. I like that. It gives you lots of room to move. And it could be a lot of fun. So check it out under Thump 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 in the video description links and give it a click. Next we have The Towers of Dr. Zill, a level 2 adventure by C. Aaron Creeder for Dungeon Crawl Classics or Mutant Crawl Classics or whatever it's called. I forget if it's Mutant Crawl or not. And it's by Studio 9 Games, on sale for $7.99, normally $9.99 for 20 pages. It says, Dr. Zill was a genius and a madman who experimented with the natural order of life on himself and others using super science devices infused with the raw power of fire and ice. He summoned and enslaved elemental creatures to merge with his human subjects. And so some really fun black and white art here. Explore Dr. Zill's tower by thawing out the chambers, but beware what you may find. However, an imbalance of thermal and polar microelementals used to control his labs tilted toward the polar side, and slowly his menagerie was encased in ice, freezing Dr. Zill's operations for millennia. Some say he miscalculated, others argued that his mind cracked and he took his own life, while still others insist his final act was precise and calculated. His plan yet to take effect, that is until now. So it's a 2nd to 3rd level adventure. Yeah, it is Mutant Crawl Classics. And you can see here what a fun, just playful isometric style map here. I really like this. I also like the notion that the rooms have been sort of frozen and that now they're going to be thawed out, and you're going to find out what's going on in there. And yeah, look at this, all this beautiful art. It says there's a number of visual puzzles for the players to solve, and that's cool. Handouts, you get all kinds of stuff with this. There's no preview up here, but just scrolling through, you can see tons of beautiful imagery. I mean, to me, this map alone sells it, because I would love to look at that in detail. So you should check it out, and it's under Towers of Dr. Zill, and the link's below. Give it a click. Next, we have Tist Borg. It's from Tragos Games, $7 for 88 pages, and of course it's from Mork Borg. It says Tist Borg, or Fort of Silence, is a role-playing game about the power of music, and these lands' music can have even greater effects on the hearts and minds of humans and beasts. And extraordinary music can create marvelous miracles, whether to heal, harm, strengthen, weaken, summon, or banish. But noise also has destructive potential. However, not only do the sounds made by human voices or human-made instruments have these powers, many other creatures use their voices and bodies to make noise and music, mainly to hunt. Some even say that it is the howling of the winds that makes the air cold and the rumbling of the thunder that creates lightning. Thus, music has shaped the history of these lands. In this age, the instrumentalists are the ones in power, both a church and an army. The instrumentalists have a rigid hierarchy and a strict code of conduct, which, among other things, only allows them to play certain instruments and perform the scores composed by the dead masters, and only one goal: to make sure that when the time comes, the undying orchestra performs the Requiem Aeternam, which will bring the end of the world. So, to oppose the oppression of the instrumentalist rule and to avoid the apocalypse they wish to bring about are the goals of the metal bands, groups of rebellious barbarian musicians who, as the long-gone ancients did, play instruments made of rare metal called vibrium, which makes them louder than regular instruments. So this kind of battle of the bands going on here, and 88 pages of it, so in Mork Borg fashion, should be a good time. 6 pages in the preview. So you've got all about the setting, and then various things on noise, music, scores, ancient relics, NPCs, random tables, locations, and like even a sheet to document your metal band. So it says the Metal Manifesto. The power of music is not that of death, but that of life. In all things natural there is rhythm, harmony, and melody, and the winds, the waters, and the beasts make not only noise, but also beautiful and sublime music. This very world is made of music. It is not a blessing from an otherworldly afterlife. The ancient inhabitants of these lands mastered the power of music by playing instruments made of rare and sacred metal, vibrium, and by composing scores of great might. And they worshipped the spirits of the spheres, the brightest stars of the night sky, which are made of pure living music. But they were decimated by the greater numbers of the barbaric followers of an undead god. So you can see very music-inspired, infused with Mork Borg. So I think this could be a ton of fun, especially at 88 pages for $7. So if you're looking for something, maybe you love music, maybe you just want something that goes beyond the bard. You know, the bard tends to be our center of music in the games we play. This kind of reaches out and makes everything music connected. I particularly like the creatures having music as well. So check it out under Tist Borg in the video description links and give it a click. Next we've got Unencumbered, an updated inventory system for your adventure compatible with 5th edition from Brightly Brewed. It's $4.99 for 9 pages. Authors 𝙤𝙤𝙬𝙗 Lau and Ben Chessum. It says Unencumbered is a homebrew system that simplifies inventory management and allows you to sort and loot items quickly and easily. The system can resolve adding items without having to identify their individual weights and calculating the total weight cost, which can often slow down gameplay due to the extra work. It focuses on the player's skills, which allows space for roleplay opportunities, as well as interesting gameplay effects. It removes the limit of being encumbered and rather adds an interesting twist if one decides to carry more than they can. So you've got printable versions, form-fillable character inventory and equipment sheet, which is shown here. Very cute little doodle-style artwork. I like that. And then you've got this really fun cover and other really nice art. You get to see some of the images here. They don't have a full-size preview, but they do have a quick one that we'll look at. So you can see that it's continues to have really nice artwork and layout. It's too small for us to be able to read any of it to you, but I am excited by what I'm reading, that it's giving an alternative to encumbrance and even a fun way to address when somebody is just trying to hoard everything and carry everything. Gives you some optional rules for that and a little fun artwork to enjoy. So check it out under Unencumbered in the links below and give it a click. Well, that's our last DriveThruRPG title for the week. Before we move on to DM's Guild, please follow me on Twitter at Splinterverse. Subscribe to this channel, like the video, leave us a comment, share the video out there, and of course, click on all those links to support these creators and the channel. Anything you purchase, whether it's from one of the books we covered this week or not, gives us a small percentage of the affiliate fee and therefore supports the channel. And of course, it's going to support these creators or other ones that you find from these two sites that we're covering. So definitely encourage all of that. And if you're feeling especially generous, we have a bunch of books we've made as well. They're listed in the video description under Splinterverse. And we've got everything from Feywild Fun with our Feywild Companion, which is 150 pages of everything from adventures to encounters to monsters to spells to subclasses, you name it. It's in there for Feywild goodness. And then you've got a book called Potions Unlocked, which is on DriveThruRPG. It's over 100 pages of potions where you can create your own potions, get the full backstory with full short stories on each of the potions with glorious, gorgeous art for each potion, as well as potion locations, all kinds of fun stuff, spells, you name it, you got it in there. And then we've got lineages with our Van Richten's Librum of Lineages, a new race with a bunch of lore and deities under the Secrets of the Draugr book. And we've also got a dragon-themed subclass for every single class and our Fizzband's Vault of Draconic Secrets, along with tons of other dragon-themed stuff like a cool familiar, adventure hooks, horde magic items, just a ton of dragon fun. So check all of those out in the links in the video description and give them a click. Now on to DM's Guild. Our first DM's Guild title this week is Atlantis Shaman, a Rise of the Atlantean supplement from T.A. Forlinza and DM Bahamut. It's $1.99 for 29 pages. It says, by popular demand, a separate supplement to Rise of the Atlanteans Atlantis Player's Handbook. This is a brand new shaman class. Inside you will find dedicated information and research based on historical significance of the real shamans of Earth's history. The Bokor, he who serves or works with both hands. These shaman are ones who use the spirit realm and their knowledge to create poisons and to generally inflict harm upon those they determine are their foes. Not necessarily evil, the Bokor are most widely known as those who use their power to instill the spirits back into the material bodies of creatures, basically creating and controlling zombies. The Saman, one who knows, a Saman is a shaman who specializes in education, wisdom, and divination. Knowledge is key to the Saman, and they seek out answers to life's tumultuous problems by conversing with the spirits of their realm. A Saman is able to work with spirits to further their ideals and goals, usually through some elaborate performance. So these things that I'm reading, I guess are subclasses for this class. And then it says new spiritual foci, enhancing and activating your spirit familiar to make them stronger and provide active benefits to you and your adventuring companions. New spells to add to your already vast repertoire. And then it looks like you have some code here that's maybe not functioning properly, TA, if you're watching. I think this is an attempt to show your other products, which is a common feature, but all you have to do is miss one tag and it'll error on you. So hopefully you'll see this and get an opportunity to fix it. Doesn't change anything. This book is still able to be looked at, purchased, all that good stuff, but I do like to help creators as well get their pages where they need them to be. So let's look inside. You've got your credits, information on the book itself, and then you're getting to see 6 of the 29 pages. So you're getting to see pretty much the majority of the class, I would say, which is nice. And then I'm guessing subclasses are what you would see in the remaining pages. So let's zoom in here and look at some of these things. It says one of the oldest true classes in the Atlantean world, the shamans, were around before the founding of the Soul Stone, and they will be around until the end time. Shamans are intimately connected to the spirit realm and can hear the whispers through the elements and through the spirit of the world itself. So then over here, Atlantean shaman, when one in Atlantis thinks shaman, they normally think orc. The two have been synonymous throughout the ages, and it should be expected that to truly understand the spirits and the ancestors, one should seek out an orc. Though there are deviating spirit paths, the more predominant one is the Shaman, for which the name is mostly derived from. They are sought out for guidance from our ancestors, for in Atlantis, chances are pretty good that the ones who came before us are either a permanent fixture somewhere in the realm or have come back from the dead. So, interesting, and I like the artwork and the different sections here. They got spirit magic, spiritual focus, spirit path. Okay, so we are seeing some of the, potentially some of the subclasses. That could be what you know naturally at first level, even though it looks like it could be a subclass. They've got aberration. It says a floating eyeball or some other kind of otherworldly creature. The aberration is not of the earthly plane and is very rare. Unable to return to its home plane, the spirit wanders the world, sometimes causing havoc as a poltergeist. And then it's got all the features you get if you pick aberration, because seems like you're gonna get to pick a spirit type that you're focused on, because they have each of the creature types and what happens, what's different about it, which is a cool way of separating it out and saying, okay, this is how it's going to be different based on the spirit that you pick. So you've got beast, celestial, dragon, etc. So very interesting. Looks like a lot of fun, and it's a whole new class, so check it out under Atlantis Shaman in the video description links. Next, we've got Azzy's Fabled Forge, 30 new artifact weapons for Dungeons & Dragons by Darren Kinney. It's $4.95 for 32 pages. It says, experience the power of Azzy's incredible arsenal of magic weapons, each one a powerful artifact that grows as it bonds with the wielder, fulfills its purpose, or find that special something it's been seeking for an eternity. Raise these powerful artifacts to their exalted form and watch as you destroy your foes with their unique set of skills. From the brain-devouring blade forged from the skull of a Mindflayer to the trusted grave tinder's tool which cuts down undead. Azzy has a sword for every hero and villain. Don't believe us? We'll just take a look at a few of our favorites. And then they present these here, so you get to see 4 of them with really nice artwork for each one. So this one looks kind of like a shovel. It says Gregory the Gravedigger's Glory. And then you've got a brilliant blade down here and this sort of frost lance. But this one looks really cool with this sort of stained glass design on it. It's called 𝙭𝙭𝙧𝙀, the Plane of St. Atrion. It's a great sword, requires attunement. It's an artifact, of course. It says 𝙭𝙭 is a stained glass blade framed by golden metal, which was pulled from the ruins of a sacred temple. 2 sapphires known as the Eyes of Atrion are embedded in the pommel and hilt of the blade. These sapphires are named after St. Atrion, a warrior and healer from ancient times who was buried at the temple. While attuned to this, you gain the following benefits. You gain +1 to attack and damage rolls with these weapons. When you hit a creature with 𝙭𝙭, you can use your reaction to deal radiant damage. Whenever you are forced to make a saving throw due to looking at someone, such as a basilisk's glare, you can use your reaction to automatically succeed on the saving throw. That's cool. And then it's got an awakened ability and an exalted ability. So awakened, when 𝙭𝙭 reaches this awakened state, the central section to the glass blade fills in, revealing the image of St. Atrion, the sacred knight. You gain the following additional benefits. You gain +2 attack and damage rolls. This replaces your +1 bonus. When you roll 19 or 20 on an attack with 𝙭𝙭, it is a critical hit. And while attuned to 𝙭𝙭, you gain +2 to your armor class. And then it goes on to exalted, which has more abilities. I'm not going to read all of those, but very fun. I love the artwork. Like the concepts. Sounds like a cool artifact for sure. Let's look inside a little more. So they've got all of them listed here. Everything from Igris, the Vengeful Shade, Orvin, the Druid's Wrath, Symphony, the Song of Battle. So seems like there's some that could work with all the different classes. Like the Symphony, the Song of Battle could be good for a bard potentially. And, the Druid's Wrath could be good for a druid, of course. So we'll see. But you get to see 17 of the 32 pages. So that's half of the book. Lots of items in here. Yeah, I really love the art on this. It's very well done. And the layout's nice as well. So, yeah, you've got the Astral Parasite Blade. That looks really fun with this sort of octopus-like, squid-like creature on the hilt. Very nice. So yeah, check it out under Azzy's Fabled Forge in the links below and give it a click. Next we have the 𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙧𝙬𝙬 Jungle and the Ancient Temple of 𝙬𝙬𝙬. It's an adventure designed for 3 to 5 characters with an average party level of 15. It says an abandoned temple hides deep in one of the more vast forests. The 𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬 Jungle, the ancient civilization that used to live here, has named their once great city 𝙬𝙬 and built this massive temple. When a plague destroyed the city, the temple was forsaken and its doors closed forever. Today, none but a formidable tribe of Amazon women dared to live in those woods. They discovered the temple not long ago, and one of them dared to cross its entrance, but she never returned. The adventurers might be the Amazons' only hope to bring their sister back and save their homeland from a strange, evil corruption. It says, dinosaurs, nagas, tigers, forest terrors, fiends, and greater demons are only some of the obstacles that the adventurers must overcome to accomplish their tasks or even survive. It takes about 6 to 8 hours to complete, 11 new monster stat blocks, 5 puzzles and traps, and a legendary magic weapon, as well as 7 different battle maps that are used in this. So previously the full-size preview was showing, but it's not here now. I'm not sure if maybe they made an update. Sometimes when you make an update to a title, it unchecks the boxes for those previews, so that could have happened. But it's by Sire Tapas, and it's $3.40 on sale for those 31 pages. And I think you should check it out. It's got a really nice cover artwork, and when I looked at it just briefly in preparing for the video, it did look pretty cool. So check it out under 𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬 Jungle in the links below and give it a click. Next, we've got Dark Carnival and the Mirrors of Madness, a multi-table adventure by Bum Lee, $5.95 for 42 pages. It says embark on a multi-table adventure that takes you and fellow investigating teams into the Shadowfell Carnival, where a quest for missed talismans leads you deeper into a sinister conspiracy. So this is based in Ravenloft, with the Shadowfell Carnival being one of the sort of domains of dread, and it's quite different from the Witchlight Carnival, so that could be fun for people. It says Dark Carnival and the Mirrors of Madness is a multi-table adventure written with interactive events that bring multiple tables together. It's perfect for local community events and online conventions. The document comes with player handouts and rewards designed to be compatible with an ongoing Ravenloft campaign, as well as organized play leagues. The adventure can serve as a starting point or a side quest for any campaign that takes characters across the domains of dread. So it's a bookmark PDF. It's got tips and suggestions for organizing a multi-table event, interactive events to bring the tables together. It says it can also be played as a single table, though, if you want. 10 carnival games like Quipper Pond, Roper Climb, and Ride the Gorgon. 5 carnival acts, including the daring Chimera Tamers and Sword Magicians. 11 potential group patrons from across the domains of dread. And maps and stat blocks, as well as player handouts. And so you can see some of the interiors here and how they look. But what I will point out is, with these carnival acts and games, you can use those potentially in the Witchlight Carnival as well. So that's nice. You can see there's a whole section on apple bobbing here with various DCs, balloons and darts, horse racing, and then a map of the carnival and the layout, and a poster with the different acts that you can use. They even have clown comedians here. So, and then there's a bundle down here that contains this for a little bit cheaper. So might want to take a look at that before you decide to purchase. But let's look inside. So you've got the introduction, adventure summary, carnival tour, So all kinds of stuff going on. You get to see 10 of the 42 pages. So you get to see all the Carnival Games section. So we'll go back. I want to look at this clown if it's in here. No, that's in the main page. But anyway, they've got this Litwick Market. The carnival is surrounded by the Litwick Market, whose vendors have set up tents and booths just outside the carnival grounds. These merchants, who aren't part of the carnival itself, sell myriad goods and oddities. Characters can stop briefly to purchase additional gear. The merchants in the market sell equipment from Chapter 5 of the Player's Handbook. And then there's these rumors that they can find. So it says, missing leader. 𝙁𝙗𝙩𝙪, the leader of the carnival, has gone missing. She left on an urgent quest and has not returned. In her absence, a new leader has taken charge of the carnival. Many of the troopers have been acting strangely. Only Tyndall the Barker, Madame Fortuna, and Professor Pakali seem their old selves. So those are some fun little rumors that can be hooks. We've got lost memories here, and handouts, main attractions, funhouse mirrors, and the little table on the funhouse mirrors. So the first item says an exaggerated version of the viewer based on their personality trait. Someone related to the viewer's bond. So I like how they're tying in here to the background categories. That's really fun. Yeah, it seems like there's a ton of stuff in here that you can use both in Ravenloft, maybe as supplements for Witchlight, or even just to create your own carnival. So check it out under Dark Carnival and the Mirrors of Madness and give it a click. Next we have Elfnapped, a 4th level Christmas elf adventure with 4 pre-generated elf characters from Caleb Page, $4.95 for 36 pages. It says, ho ho no, a Christmas elf has been kidnapped, and by the most renownedly naughty child outside of the North Pole. 4 Christmas elves must take on the rescue responsibility and try to save the missing elf by venturing into the harsh world of 1985 suburbia. Fight an entire squad of middle school bullies and traverse through a booby-trapped house in this fun, nostalgic, lighthearted Christmas adventure for level 4 characters. So you've got some sample pages that you can read here. It says it's got maps, complex traps, unique monster stat blocks, and the 4 pre-gen characters, which I think we're looking at those here. And it gives you information on them. So one of them is called Nog Mistletoe, a gentle soul who cares for the reindeer. Nog is a formidable foe who wields a snow shovel and her gargantuan height of 4'3". So no, these are actually the no, I'm right. That is a I thought it was a formidable foe, but I guess if it's a pre-generated character, it is for you to play. So I don't know, a little confused there, but it still sounds like a fun character. Looking inside, you get to see that in more detail, as well as some pre-filled out sheets for you so that you're ready to go to play these characters, which again I think is really awesome, because holiday one-shots are fun for if you have somebody come into town, you want to play an adventure with them before they go back home, or you're going out of town and you want to play an adventure with them before you come back home. One-shots are perfect for that, but then even more so having the characters already made, because that saves you time, because holidays can get really busy, right? You may not have time to sit down and actually get a character made, or somebody will say, oh yeah, I'm going to make a character, and then they never get around to it. So then you kind of just have to hand them the character so that things move forward, right? So it says, Nog is a wholesome figure with long reddish hair, overalls, 2 big mud boots, constantly stained, and a kind smile always on her face. But despite her nice appearance, Nog stands out from the crowd due to her abnormal height. Where most Christmas elves stand at around 2'6", Nog towers at a gargantuan 4'3". The exact reason for her size is a mystery and has basically been summed up to a strange growth spurt. Of course, though her size was hard to live with, no one treated her badly due to it. So, sounds like a fun little character. And, just looking at these, there is a pre-gen sheet. So it is definitely a pre-gen character, not an NPC. So, sorry, I got confused. It's all good. It looks fun. I love the cover. I love the character names. And it's very holiday themed. So, I think it's going to be fun for people. So check it out in the video description links under Elfnapped and give it a click. Next we have Esoteric Casters Feat Vault number 2. With 30 new feats, you can try quite a few different ways to cast spells. from Burke Cert, 95 cents for 10 pages. It says, when I realized how open to different concepts the casters were, I wanted to unleash this potential by writing feats on different concepts. As the first fruit of these efforts, I wrote 32 feats in 4 different concepts in volume number 1. I gathered these under 3 basic concepts: admixture feats, counterspell feats, defiler feats, etc. And then now that there's 30 more, there's 4 different concepts like channeling feats. The most important trait for any caster is to be able to use conditions to his advantage as clever way as possible. The caster who can do this is still the most dangerous, whether or not he has the ability to inflict any damage. Here are the channeling feats that can turn this type of caster into a much more dangerous beast. And then they have necrosis feats, ritual feats, wild magic feats, etc. And there's no preview, but there are pages here that we can zoom in and look at. So we'll just zoom into these here. So there's one called Cold Heart. Your blood flow slows and heartbeat grows erratic without significant harm to you, increasing your ability to survive freezing temperatures and electric shocks. Prerequisite ability to cast at least 1 necrotic spell. You can use Feign Death spell on yourself as at will, and in a death-like situation, you become aware of what's around you, and you can end the spell whenever you want. And then you got 4 necrosis feats. While in a death-like state, you can cast spells that only can be cast with verbal components. You don't move your mouth to utter the words of the spell, but like in Banshee's Soto voice feat, those around you hear your voice in their heads. And then you've got something called Numb Mind. Your emotional and reflex responses fade, allowing you to shrug off distracting conditions. A prerequisite is ability to cast at least 1 necrotic spell. You gain an advantage against any one of the charmed, frightened, paralyzed, poisoned, and stunned conditions. And then it says you gain advantage against an extra one of the specified conditions if you have 4 necrosis feats. So there's kind of like this, almost like an armor set would give you bonuses. It seems like if you're choosing multiple feats within the categories created by Burke, so necrosis in this case, then you get that extra advantage by stacking these. So looks fun. So check it out under Esoteric Caster's Feat Vault in the links below and give it a click. Next we have Creatures of the Crystal Grove. Explore the vast jungle Demi-plane in the Crystal Grove in the supplement usable in any adventure. And it's from Modern Gesture, $4.95 for 29 pages. It says, do you miss a lot of insects in the monster manual? Are you excited about what to find in the Fey Demi-plane, the Crystal Grove? Explore the vast cavern-like area that is the Crystal Grove and meet its horrifyingly large insects and its inhabitants, crystal shard goblins. So there's 11 new magic items and guidelines for their creation in the Crystal Grove, 14 dangerous or interesting locations or plant life, 5 new player subraces for goblins, intricate lore and guidelines on how the Crystal Shard Goblin Society works and can be ran, 35 new monster stat blocks, tactics, and behaviors. And then they have some stretch goals so that if they reach certain medals, they will add more to the book. And then there are some discount links at the bottom. So if you click the link in my video description and then come to this page and click these, you can get 40% or 80% off. And then, of course, there are also some bundles. So you're going to have some thinking to do with this one to see which purchase option you want. But that's good. It's good to have options. Let's take a look inside. So you get to see 10 of the 29 pages. So it's talking about the land and the nature. And then trees of transformation. And then creatures of the grove. So lots of giant insects. It looks like this is meant to be like a domain of delight, maybe. Because it says it's a demi-plane. But let's see here. It says, although beautiful, the flora in the Crystal Grove can prove to be deceitful and deadly. Few natural phenomena, as well as some plants, prove to cost the life of many unwitting creatures, especially creatures not native to this demi-plane, are quickly enchanted by the forest's magical visage and stumble into these deadly phenomena with ease. So you've got natural phenomena like the living tar pit, lake of Sericthon, and then you've got some flowers. So the death bloom. says, no creature wishes to walk upon a corpse covered in red flowers. Death bloom float through the air and search for decay. Any dead body, whether or not it has been scavenged, or if there are creatures nearby, everything is fair game for the death bloom. These flowers dissolve any decaying creature before departing, although it prefers living flesh. When a swarm of death blooms spots a creature, the swarm all penetrates the creature's skin and sucks out its blood until it is completely drained. Creature must make a dex saving throw or take necrotic damage as the flowers become ingrained in the creature's vascular system. The death bloom swarm will use its remaining actions to completely exsanguinate the creature. If a creature hits 0 hit points because of this effect, it dies and more death blooms start to grow on its corpse. Death bloom are completely immune to magic and are only deathly afraid of normal fire. Furthermore, if the target succeeds on the dex save, the death bloom float further away, disinterested in difficult prey. So, interesting, and I like the picture of the death bloom kind of consuming a corpse there. And there's lots of creatures here. Crystal fly, giant ant queen with a worker, and Hercules beetle that's giant, crystallized one, giant cricket, giant praying mantis. So, giant ladybug and scorpion flies. So yeah, I think there's lots of fun creatures in here that you can battle. And it seems like it's all focused on Crystal Grove, which, according to this description, it's a demi-plane, but it's a fey demi-plane. So I'm guessing, again, that this is really meant to be a domain of delight. So if you're watching Modern Gesture, you might want to update that text, because I think being a domain of delight is a selling point for your books. Also, if you purchased my book, Feywild Companion, there is a domain of delight in there called Dualis, and one of the things is the Forest of Flowers, where there's these giant flowers that are basically like trees, and in there are giant insects. So you could use this book, if you bought Feywild Companion, to add some additional insects to battle, because there's giant ladybugs and crickets and other things in this book that you could easily port over to that book. As always, I'm trying to find connections between books to make that bookshelf of ours, virtual or physical, more valuable. So this looks really fun on its own. There's a lot of cool creatures in there as well, but I know some of you have purchased my book, so I do like to call out when things go well with those so that you can combine them and get even more value. So, but again, if you check this one out, don't forget that you've got various discounts if you need them, and bundles to consider. So look for it under Expanded Demi-planes in the links below and give it a click. Next we have The Grandmother Tree, a mini adventure for elementary kids and kids at heart, from Purple Bog Press. $3.95 for 15 pages. It says Cookie Swarms, Bubble Traps, a 3-story treehouse. The Grandmother Tree is a whimsical adventure about friendship aimed at elementary kids who love the problem-solving and adventuring part of playing D&D. This 2-hour one-shot is suited for characters level 2 to 3 and includes the following features: new monster and trap that appeals to kids, full color maps, detailed flowchart of the whole adventure, which has less combat, it says. Can be dropped into any existing campaign or run on its own, fully play-tested by kids. It's got a printer-friendly version and interactive mini-games for the whole table to enjoy. And a portion of the proceeds benefit Extra Life, helping fund children's hospitals. So another reason to check out this book with the fun art. Let's look inside. So you get to see 7 of those 15 pages. Got your content, your intro to the adventure, overview, the characters, a really cool flowchart of how the adventure works. And so we'll just read one of the flavor text boxes here. It says, sound in the forest. Up ahead is the edge of a warm, welcoming forest. Majestic trees stand tall and proud with limbs outstretched, roots firmly grasping the rich earth. The smell of damp moss floats on the light breeze. Fluffy squirrels chase each other up and down the trunks as melodious birds flit about the lush canopy above. As you get closer, a soft weeping sound can be heard off to the side. There, sitting under a tree, is a young gnome, head in hands, crying. An open book lies discarded at their feet. Oh, that's a cool little intro. I like that flavor text. So I'm sure it's going to proceed from there and be lots of fun. It says characters with a passive perception of 13 or higher notice a cookie crumb trail leading into the welcoming forest. If no one's perception is that high, Max can notice the trail. A successful intelligence investigation check reveals the crumbs to be chocolate chip. So it just looks fun and like a whimsical little adventure. If you tried any of those ones that came out along with Witchlight, that the dungeon craft ones that were on the front page, this reminds me of those and how fun and playful and whimsical those are. I played one of those and had a really fun time. So I think, it's suitable for any age. It can just be a really fun little playful experience, and the art and layout looks really nice. You've even got a swarm of cookies here. So check it out under Grandmother Tree in the links below and give it a click. Next we have the Helian Heist, a level 4 to 6 adventure for 3 to 6 players with a fun cover. I like this stained glass church with somebody running out. They've clearly stolen something since this is a heist, and it looks like there's a dragon in the sky above. It's by David Barentine, $1.99 for 19 pages. Occult activity is on the rise around the town of Pine Pass. Nobody has any idea why, but recently a shady individual was caught making their way through town toting an ancient book that is putting off a powerful magical aura. With the culprit in custody, investigations have begun to discern what secrets hidden away in the pages of the book. These secrets are not meant for common people. They belong to the cult that you and your party are members of. With the treasure of a lifetime caught inside the town borders, it falls on to a specialized team of cult members to get in, get out, and not get caught. The heist is on. Do you have what it takes? The Helian Heist is a one-off adventure that takes place in the small town of Pine Pass. The adventure can be set within the world of Oranth that is fleshed out in the Knights of the Shadow Realm campaign setting, or it can be easily inserted into any setting at any table. It is meant for a group of 3 to 6 players between the levels of 4 to 6. So it's got a map of the town, unique roleplay encounter involving a gnome, an improv show, and D&D Mad Lib. It's got a unique ticking clock mechanic for the DM to gauge how much attention the party has drawn to them while they search the town. A final boss encounter that varies based off of how well the party accomplished their goals. I like that. 2 fully illustrated maps of areas within the town. A unique magic item, new spell, and encounters that make each area investigated feel exciting to explore, and player maps that can be used for VTT. And there's some dangling plot threads that you can use to sort of follow up with it. So let's zoom in here and see what we can read. So as the party moves through Pine Pass and collects information on the book's whereabouts, they run the risk of drawing attention to themselves through their actions. Each area the party visits will have different clearly noted triggers that will draw unwanted eyes to their progress. As the DM, keep track of each trigger the party activates, because the final confrontation is dependent on the amount of attention the party draws as they suss out the book's location. Review the table below to determine the makeup of the final encounter. So attention level 0 to 1, the party has performed their task seamlessly, escaping with the book before the guards could rally. The sounds of alarm are raised only after the party manages to make it outside the Pine Pass town limits. But if your attention level is 2 to 3, you have to deal with 2 priests. If it's 4 to 5, you have to deal with 2 priests and a veteran town official. And 6 or more, you got 2 priests, a veteran town official, and an enchanter, which is a town mage. So I like that mechanic, kind of showing how you can unknowingly make it worse for yourself down the road. So nice DMs will kind of warn you, make sure you don't make too much noise, etc. Don't draw too much attention to yourselves. So it looks like a really fun time. I love the cover art, and seems like it's got some Mad Lib and an improv show and some other things in addition to that ticking clock mechanic that make it interesting. So check it out in the video description links under Helian Heist and give it a click. Next we've got Ishigara's Den by James Layton, $4.95 for 17 pages on a suggested price on Pay What You Want. It says it is a level 3 D&D adventure with a full plot. It can be run as standalone or easily fit into any main campaign. The module contains social, wilderness, and combat sections. It is designed to be easy to run and includes both a plot summary and cast list. Each page has all the monster and trap details included on it to avoid needless page flipping. And it has 10 unique monsters, 2 magic items, a DM and player view digital map, weather tables, and random encounter rules. and stunning art. Let's take a look inside. So you get to see 10 of the 17 pages. So here's a list of the characters, and then the plot summary, and then scene 1, you're in the city, and you've got, it looks like either an enemy or an NPC there, the search, and then here's the lair with the map, and then more characters you encounter with some nice art for the characters as well. So yeah, it seems pretty cool. There's even an awakened pear tree or a swarm of pears. So let's read a little bit of the plot summary here. Let's read the first paragraph. So it says, the once prosperous town of 𝙤𝙤𝙧𝙨 has slowly been gripped by violence and aggression as its citizens have been overtaken by the need to consume an addictive new drug, 𝙤𝙤𝙘𝙤 powder. The party are hired by 𝙤𝙤𝙢𝙬𝙧 𝙤𝙤𝙀 and asked to investigate. They will be told the city and guard and mayor seem to be unwilling to investigate. They will not know this is because the mayor's son and guard captain's sister are being held hostage. To start their investigation, it is suggested that they follow drug user Hungry Dave and will be led to a drug dealer in Zeth Vakroth. After interrogating or following him, they will be led to 𝙎𝙤𝙘𝙤𝙧𝙀 den. So, good little summary of some stuff going on. Sounds like they're using some substances they shouldn't be in that town. And so the party's going to have to resolve that, maybe put a stop to it, and it's all on a pay-what-you-want price. So look for it in the video description links under 𝙎𝙤𝙘𝙤𝙧 den and give it a click. Next we have The Myths of Ravenloft by Joshua Berry, Aurora Daniels, and Shane Fannin. It is a pay-what-you-want suggested price of $5 for 22 pages. It says, welcome to the Domains of Dread. And this is their first DM's Guild title. They have something for everyone in the supplement for Ravenloft. It says they've worked with players, DMs, and homebrew experts to bring you new Domains of Dread, new character options, more resources for DMs, and much more. It says purchasing this title will help them create more books, and that's what I'm always saying. You know, when you see a first-time author especially, it's good to support them, to encourage them so they keep making books for the site and for us to enjoy. So, and I do really enjoy this cover. I think it's very moody and fits Ravenloft well. So let's look at the 9 pages out of 22 that we get to see in the preview. So you got your credits, it has information on character creations. They have a new lineage called Lost, and they've got a couple dark gifts. Then they've got 3 Domains of Dread, tools for the Dungeon Master, including Mist Travel and a Hazy Cargo. Bunch of magic items, including Gravedigger's Shovel, Jar of Eyeballs, Mist Cleaver, and Bestiary, including a Hive Walker, Ossuary Penitent, and a Sister of Perpetual Weeping. So it's got kind of the intro, how to use the book, and then character creations. So we'll talk about the Lost and Dark Gifts in just a moment. And then you've got the Domains of Dread are introducing. So with the Lost, it says most souls pass on after death, but in the mists, some are lost. These souls fail to pass on, instead becoming trapped in the mists. After centuries trapped, these souls may regain physical form and return as lost. The lost are faceless, semi-corporeal characters with no memories of their past lives. So, they've got, it says the lost are reconstituted with only one possession, a black and white mask with gems for eyes. The mask of the lost changes expressions with its user's emotion. Its mouth moves as the user speaks, and a lost can see through the eyes. If a lost loses their mask, it reappears on their person after 1d4 hours. And that's just the intro. There's all the traits. And then you've got dark gifts. So, dark bargains. Says characters who don't have a dark gift might gain one in the course of their adventures. At the DM's discretion, sinister forces might contact a character and offer them a dark gift in return for some service or future favor. If a character already has a dark gift, accepting such a bargain causes them to lose their current dark gift and gain a new one. And then it talks about the DM might have a mysterious force intervene and offer a dark gift whenever a desperate or thematic instance presents itself, such as any of the following. And then list those, and then they've got the gifts here. So Beyonder, you are touched by something beyond these worlds. a strange power from beyond the stars. The far realms have changed you irreversibly. This change has granted you strange new powers from the darkness between the stars. Roll or choose an option from the strange transformation table below. And then let's zoom in and read one of these. It says your skin is made of hardened resin. It takes on the color of amber. You can vaguely make out the shapes of bones and organs beneath, but it is blurry. So very descriptive, visual. I like, how descriptive these things are in this book. It seems like they put a lot of passion and love into this. And again, it's their first title. So why not support them? Check it out under Mists of Ravenloft in the video description links. Give it a click. Next, we've got Negotiable Ethics. It's a adventure for 7th level characters to test their alignments and ethics with a suggested price of $1 on Pay What You Want for 11 pages. And it says, are your players heroes or just murder hobos? This adventure, although set in Waterdeep and tuned for a 7th level party, can be set virtually anywhere and retuned for lower levels. It leads the party along the path of protecting and rescuing an NPC. Then this suddenly all changes and all the party have to decide how much this person means to them. Do they value someone's life or the price on their head? And it says all the maps for the game are supplied for Roll20 and can be easily adapted for other VTTs. So, and this Black Halo Games is the publisher. So here's your adventure hook and information, finding this character called Mafini and approaching Mafini, and here's the villa with some information, and another place called the Haberdashery, the Prestige. So you're going to see 10 of the 11 pages, well, which including the cover is the book, so you're getting to read the whole book, so that's very kind of them. No reason not to look at this one and consider it then. So let's see what we can learn from reading a little bit. It says the party are invited to the Wands family villa, which stands at the corner of Shando Street and the Mage Court in North Ward. They are hired by Lord Torlin Wands of the noble Wands family to locate and rescue Mafini and his family and bring them to a safe house. This is above Gilliam's Haberdashery at the top of the Street of Silver in Castle District. They are fully briefed of the situation, especially of the involvement of the powerful 𝙎𝙤𝙘 and are starkly warned that they may have to kill such a notable wizard before the task is done. Initially, the party may try some schemes to try to find Mafini and his family, which may work at the discretion of the DM. A short while later, Lord Wands will attain, through an intermediary, a small toy elephant which once belonged to Mafini's 6-year-old daughter, 𝙤𝙤𝙘. And wasting no time, Lord Wands uses scrying to observe her playing in the garden, and through a number of clues leads the party to the clifftop villa of Fairwinds, which Mafini has rented. So some fun times ahead in Waterdeep or wherever you want to set this, it looks like. And I like that it's going to challenge their ethics and alignments. So I think you should take a look, especially since you can read the whole adventure yourself and then decide to purchase it. It's under Negotiable Ethics in the video description links. Give it a click. Next we have New Class, the Runesmith, with this fun cover. It's by Jackson Wagner. It's $1.99 for 27 pages. It says, have you ever felt normal spells are too tame? That spending hours studying tomes and preparing spells is boring? For runesmiths, every active power comes with the potential for explosive failure. But oh, what power they wield. Find your runic core and become a blood rune, 𝙤𝙤𝙘 or arcane smith. This new class for 5th edition includes 3 subclasses, details on multiclassing, and 50 unique runes to learn. Become a blood rune and scribe runes on your own form, taking damage and accessing even greater damage and healing. Follow the path of the 𝙤𝙘𝙪 to become one with the elements and cast aside the normal restrictions of rune smithing. Face every obstacle with patience and preparation as the arcane smith. Learn to write runes into armor and weapons, keeping tools in your back pocket for every scenario. And so you get to see 7 of the 27 pages. So you're getting the quick start, the quick build, all the information on using runes. So looks fun. And then here's the runic core for blood rune, 𝙤𝙪𝙪. So you get to see even the subclasses, and then it's just the individual runes that you're not getting to see in this preview. So that's nice. You get quite a bit to review here to really consider this class. It's nice. So let's zoom in and look at some of this. It says, runesmiths use the language of the weave to communicate their will to creation. This communication is expressed through runes, written in the languages of all the creatures of the world, whether drawn on parchment, flesh, or the elements themselves, these runes have the power to alter reality. The only restriction to their power is the breadth of a runesmith's imagination and the strength of their will. Runesmiths are those who have touched upon other facets of the weave and found them to be pale imitations of true power. For every runesmith that finds their core and is able to choose their path, a dozen have perished trying to cast even the simplest of runes. Some runesmiths find their way to this power through pain and blood, while others understand the danger in this path and tread carefully, practicing the shape of a rune with a quill and parchment 1,000 times until it becomes a piece of art. So it sounds like a very flavorful history for this class. It says the way runes are cast depends on the runesmith's core, which I'm assuming is what they call their subclasses. Blood runes carve the symbols into their skin, so we read something similar to that. But okay, so backfiring. Let's see, is there something else in here that we can read? Let's read a little bit about the blood rune. A blood rune cares not for injury and considers pain to be a most exacting teacher. These rare few access the power of runic energy through and learn to express it in more wild and powerful forms. Blood runes are often seen as the villainous runesmiths, sharing their agony with the world and bringing brutal tyranny to the powerless. However, there have been heroic blood runes, those who were willing to suffer so the innocents wouldn't. But be they righteous or wrathful, none can deny that to the blood rune, agony is but a tool like any other. So, sounds good. It's even got a feature called Written in Blood. I like that the pain is tied into this. It gives you some roleplay opportunities. But yeah, I like the notion of this class. I like that runes are involved and that each of the subclasses sounds wildly different. So, very cool. Check it out under New Class, the Runesmith, in the links below and give it a click. Next, we have the Outsider expansion, a homebrew rules expansion that includes a myriad of class features for warlocks of every ilk. And it's from Adam Wright and Joaquin Olson. 8 pages at a suggested price of $1 on Pay What You Want. It says this expansion boasts a new warlock subclass, 2 unique pack boons, and 19 novel eldritch invocations for warlocks across the multiverse, as well as rare and far-flung race, the Void Genasi. So looking inside, you get to see 3 of those 8 pages. So the subclass is called the Outsider, and then you've got Mystery and Cauldron packed boons. So let's read a little bit about the Outsider. Okay, it says your patron is an utter mystery. It is a being so foreign and elusive that only a select few, or perhaps just you, know of or believe in its existence. Those aware of outsiders speculate their otherness is in such stark contrast to the rest of reality that they cannot yet manifest in any meaningful or comprehensible way. Thus, they communicate via vague psychic links to those whose consciousness is correctly attuned, most often the flexible and curious minds of children, sages, or creatives. It says, though you may not understand your patron, they seem keenly interested in understanding everything about your world through you, no matter the cost. Outsiders seem to exist solely for the acquisition of information in any form on any topic and have much with which to barter. They are capable of bestowing such profound insight as to make knowledge itself your weapon. Oddly, all names ascribed to these beings can be traced back to root words of various languages that possess a term equivalent to outsider, as if their utterly foreign nature is universally and unavoidably recognizable. So I like this concept of a patron that only you know about and only you believe in. I mean, you might sound like a crazy person, quote unquote crazy person, but it's an interesting story angle because you maybe know something other people don't and you can work with your DM on it. So I think that's a really fun angle. I'm always looking for story potential when I'm looking at these books. What kind of stories can we tell with what's here? Because this game isn't about what's on the page. It's about taking what's on the page and combining it with your imagination, with your storytelling capabilities. And so, to me, the best books are those that inspire you. And it's one of the reasons I love looking at these books every week. Is it's just fun to bounce around in your imagination and think of the different things you could do, the different characters you could create if you purchased the book. So, and even without purchasing it, it can inspire you. So I urge you to check out the links in the video description and click on them, including Outsider Warlock Expansion. All right, next we have Pacts and Powers 3, Warlock Boons and Patrons and more. So we just looked at a Warlock book, and so now we have another one. But you really can't have too many Warlock options. Warlock is one of my favorite classes. So Pedro Filippo is the author, $7.95 for 12 pages. Says this is the third volume of Pacts and Powers, including 6 new patrons, subclasses, 3 new pact boons, 11 more Eldritch invocations, and 6 patron requests to inspire your adventuring warlocks. In this volume, you can find the following patrons: the Astral Horror, the Beast of the End, the Consumer, and the Eternal. So for the Eternal, you were fated to be chosen by an Eternal, a creature powerful enough to be able to fight gods and archdemons. They are mysterious, and so is their ways and their bidding, and are willing to teach ways to extend the lifetime of those serving them. An example of such is the Lady of Pain, the ruler of the city of Sigil, a being with such intense power capable to deny the entrance of gods to her city. Don't expect her to speak to you, though. Do expect to be sent to the many planes of the multiverse to carry messages and complete tasks in many dangerous places. Very cool. And there's another one called the Infested and another one called the Oozing Sea. So the Oozing Sea, you found an ancient hidden ocean made of ooze. This ocean was actually a creature or a multitude of them. But it's clear that it decided to give you its touch and send you on an adventure with some of its power it accumulated during its ancient existence. So that's a very visual, fun notion of where is this sea of ooze, right? And then the pact boons are the Pact of the Box, the Pact of the Crown, and the Pact of the Gauntlets. And then there's much more. So I'm curious, though, if there will ever be a bundle that offers all 3, or if there's going to be a volume 4. So if you're watching, Pedro, maybe you can let us know in the comments. And, I wouldn't wait for that to buy this because it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. But I think that will be cool to find out just out of curiosity. So you've got everything listed here in the table of contents. And then you've got the boons, patrons, and their mini gifts. So you got Pact of the Box, Pact of the Crown, Pact of the Gauntlets. And we'll read one of those in a minute. And then here's a little bit on the Astral Horror that we read about earlier. So reading about the Pact of the Box here, your patron gives you a mysterious object that when you open it and reach into it, you can pull a useful item for when you find yourself in trouble. It might look like a box covered in runes or an old wizard's hat. For others, will look like an ordinary item, but for you, it is a useful tool for all kinds of situations. Once a day, you can pull an ordinary item that you have seen or a common magical item from it. You can attempt to pull a magical item of rarity superior to common up to very rare, but you must roll to check if you succeed. You must roll a D100 and roll under the number for that rarity. After pulling an item from the box, they disappear if broken, if you put it back into the box, or after 24 hours. If the item requires attunement to use it, you are considered attuned to it from the moment you pulled it from the pack box, as long as you can still attune to a magic item. So that's a fun one. You so you have this mysterious box that you can reach into, grab things out. You got to take note of all the things you're seeing because you might need to visualize the tool that you want to pull out. So I like that. I like that concept. Seems like a lot of fun. And that's just one. We've, these patrons sound really fun too. So I encourage you to check it out under Pacts and Powers 3 in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we got Paladin Spells Expanded by Nikola Ninkovic for $3.99 for 10 pages. It's got 25 all-new Paladin spells, which will make you feel like the harbinger of divine justice and a holy sentinel. The spells in this book allow the Paladin to protect his allies through heroic deeds, conduct nightly rituals which bless battlefields and fallen warriors, and enforce the will of the gods upon the unholy in a thematic and memorable fashion. And so I'm getting to see a few examples here, but we'll take a look inside. But I like that when pages are included in the catalog. So here we got the credits. Turning your smite slots into spell slots. Paladins as spellcasters have been sort of forgotten in the official content since the initial release of 5th edition, leaving most Paladin players in an extremely one-dimensional style of gameplay, of smacking a thing very hard and then smacking it even harder. Spells in this book are meant to turn the Paladin into the divine warrior your party needs, protecting allies when they need it most, and leading the war on evil from that front. It says optional rule, instant smites. The smite spells provided for the paladin in the player's handbook and in this book have a casting time of 1 bonus action and a duration of 1 minute with concentration. Due to this, the paladin is extremely limited in their capability to concentrate on other spells without handicapping themselves, and they may waste spell slots if the fight ends before they land a hit on an enemy. This is done for consistency with the regular spellcasting rules of other classes, but there is no reason you must follow this guideline at your table. If you feel this is an issue, you may allow spells with smite in their name to be cast when the paladin strikes a creature with a melee attack without the use of their reaction. Same as their divine smite feature, you may only use 1 smite per attack. So giving you some optional things you can do, and so we'll read one of those smites here. We'll read Vampiric Smite with some fun art here. It's a first level evocation. It's a bonus action verbal component with concentration up to 1 minute. The next time you hit a creature with a melee weapon attack during the spell's duration, your weapon drains their life force and transfers it to you, and the attack deals an extra 1d10 necrotic damage to the target and heals you for the same amount. At higher levels, when you cast the spell using a spell slot of 2nd level or higher, the damage of the spell increases by 1d10 for each slot level above the first. So, see why it's called vampiric, because you're draining life force from one creature and giving it to yourself like a vampire would. So it looks like a lot of fun. I like the cover. It's playful and seems appropriate for paladins. I like that they're giving you some optional rules that you can experiment with, and lots of spells, 25 of them focused on the paladin. You know, a lot of times you're looking through spell lists and you're just not seeing the paladin or certain classes in a lot of places. So having ones that are geared toward that class is really helpful. So check it out under Paladin Spells Expanded in the links below and give it a click. Next we have Tales from Temerit, The Fall of 𝙁𝙗𝙗 the Usurper, a 5th edition adventure from Timurishan Merchants Alliance and Daniel Ottolini. It says it's $9.95 for 84 pages. It says, greetings and welcome to Tales from Temerit, The Fall of 𝙁𝙗𝙗 the Usurper. This module is designed to provide the skilled DM with everything they need to run a political intrigue-style campaign based in the wild and fantastical province of Temerit during the time of the rise and fall of Vincent 𝙁𝙗𝙗, an oath-breaker paladin determined to achieve apotheosis. Whether the party seeks to unite the fractious members of the Northern Alliance, find common ground with the justifiably wary and war-weary indigenous wildling tribes, or throw in their lot with the usurper himself, choices are key to this immersive story. Within this adventure setting, you'll find a brief historical description of the time of 𝙁𝙗𝙗, and an in-depth look at his plans, mercenary allies, and NPC lieutenants. Many of these mercenary units use monsters from Volo's Guide. Finally, the starting adventure, Small Worries, creates opportunities for character progression from levels 1 to 4, while introducing players to the current political situation and a few key NPCs within the province itself. Players who enjoy political intrigue, strategic planning, or simply a large amount of combat will enjoy this campaign. Players will need to consider how to best reduce the usurper's power and position. Ideally, this campaign is flexible enough to take characters from levels 1 to 20. That's quite a bit, but it's 84 pages, this book, so you can see where that could happen. And this sounds really interesting. If you're watching Daniel, one suggestion I would have is maybe break up this text into some bullets, because this looks like a wall of text, and that could be a barrier for some of the customers to get into your project. It looks really fun. I'm excited by the number of pages it has alone, and the concept of it, this usurper. So it's not going to stop me, but I want you to have the best opportunities as possible for everybody. So we've got all kinds of stuff in here. In the table of contents, you've got an intro, a timeline, background, so Rise of the Usurper. So yeah, lots of lore. If you like lore, this seems like it's going to be a fun one for you. So I mean, just looking at this timeline, I mean, how many years are covered here? Lots of years. Very nice. So let's read just a little bit about the province of Temerit. Is one of the most powerful and productive provinces in the Cardassian Empire, founded by Orcish and Dwarven settlers traveling north along the Irrelathon River. The intrepid explorers first stayed close to the welcoming confines of Lake Cobalt, establishing the town of Cobalt Landing in 38 AKE, which is the years that they're using. They set about establishing farms and villages around their palisaded Entrepot, 𝙤𝙘𝙀, Greenfield, Vigilance, Piers, and Smile were soon founded, as well as forming anchor points for small strips of civilization that braved the untamed wilds, but stayed close to the great waterways that guaranteed fast communication and easy travel. But for all their pretentiousness of being a civilized force, the settlers were not the first nor most civilized inhabitants of Tumeret. The indigenous wildling tribes formed a complex civilization of their own. The migrating tribes of the Steel Spine Mountains and the more settled forest tribes within the Forest of Whispers were allied in pushing back against the Southerners. So, got some politics going on. Got to figure it out. There's an usurper. Got to deal with that. And see what happens in 84 pages of detail. So, lots to be had in here. So, check it out, Undertales from Tumeret, in the links below, and give it a click. Next, we have the Unknown Library, Seeking Darkmoor. It's a short adventure for 1 to 3 level characters by Meredith Jensen Benjamin for $1.99 for 11 pages. It says, who knows what lies waiting? In a sleepy town, a group of adventurers are approached with a tantalizing proposition. Venture into an enchanted wood to collect stories from a renowned bard. What could be more simple? It's a 3 to 5 hour adventure for low-level characters. It features magic, mystery, and thrilling combat encounters. So you've got all the information here on the creators, and then an intro, outline, and then we're going to read some of this flavor text here for this inn. But yeah, nice layout, easy to read. Let's go back up here, and it says, at the Rosemead Inn. The party finds themselves in the village of Bright Moon at the Rosemead Inn. Use this as a session 0 if your players are debuting new characters, or if this is your first time your group is playing together. Here's the read aloud text. You find yourselves in the comfortably shabby common room of the Rosemead Inn. Behind the bar, a well-padded, rosy-cheeked halfling woman is chatty as she serves cider and ale. Another halfling woman, less plump and more harried, rushes back and forth from the kitchen, serving trenchers of savory-smelling stew and fresh-baked bread, occasionally rising over the hum of conversation in the strumming of an enthusiastic but untrained mandolin player. The firelight and pipe smoke add to the cozy ambiance. Sitting alone in a corner is a human woman who is downing glasses of wine. She is obviously not a local, and she watches your party with a curious intensity. So, nice little introduction into Rosemead Inn here. And it follows from there. There's all kinds of information that the party can learn as they go about this adventure. And it's easy to read with lots of flavor text for you. So I encourage you to check it out if you're looking for an adventure for some low-level characters. It's under Unknown Library in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have Witchlight for the Combat Starved, Hither by Matthew Allen, $8, 22 pages. It says this is the first of 3 supplements to help you add combat to the admittedly low combat campaign. So that was part of the big deal with Wild Beyond the Witchlight, is that it wasn't going to be combat focused, that you could play the whole thing without combat if you wanted to. And so this supplement gives you the option to then add combat back in if you really want it. And I think that's nice because, again, you know, some people are going to play these modules over and over, so mixing them up is always fun. It says hunting Warwick the dire dodo bird. There's a huge dodo bird with a horrendous temper stomping about in the swamps of Hither. Hunting Ampersand the newspaper yeti. He has a magic printing press and has to meet the print deadline. Will your party free his pixie slaves, or will this be the end of the Prismere Post? And etc. There's more here. And then there's random encounters, settling a dispute between disrespectful beavers, an encounter with skunk punks, ogre chef, and the salt and pepper kobolds. So lots of options. It says every group has at least one of those players. You know the one I'm talking about. They took a very specific feat because it's critical to their build. They get an extra attack. Sure, they tell you a paladin warlock makes sense. You can be the servant of 2 masters. This supplement was written for that player. This is for everyone who needs to see some bodies hit the floor to know they're having a great time. So it says the goal was to keep all the Feywild themes and ideas in balance, but with the players need to make something die, they can have that. So all kinds of stuff, including the woodpecker and the porcupine, a rhyming riddle, the Kobold Victory Table. If someone in your party manages to drop at the hands of a Kobold, roll on this table to see what the victorious Kobold does next. The Sword of Tenors, the Gambler's Tools, the Driftwood Brothers, full color map of Fungal Root Cavern, and stat blocks for some new creatures. So I like the angle of this. It's definitely needed for people that are interested in this combat side of things. And I like the playfulness of it and some of the names here that we're seeing. So you get to see 7 of the 22 pages. So you got your random encounter table, Clockwork Basilisk, and there's the Mushroom Goblins, Ogre Chef, Salt and Pepper Kobolds, so we'll read that. It says a renegade band of 5 salt kobolds and 3 pepper kobolds, with stat blocks for each of those here, has found a certain delight in ruining meals in Hither. They have taken to marauding at breakfast, lunch, and dinner for the sole purpose of depriving their prey of a meal. The salt and pepper kobolds like to wait until just the right time to strike, which is usually when someone is adding spices to their meal or about to take their first bite. You may choose to run this encounter as a random encounter while the party travels across Hither, or during a short or long rest when the party is sitting down for a meal. The salt and pepper kobolds might come across the party while scouting and tail the party to wait and attack at just the right moment to catch the party off guard. And then there's a development. The salt and pepper kobolds fight to the death, but they will take advantage of an opportunity to abscond with any food or anything they think might be valuable. If any of the salt or pepper kobolds succeeds on an attack that knocks one of the players unconscious, roll on the Kobold Victory Table to determine what happens. And here's that victory table. So number 1 is we can do this. The Kobold gives a victory speech to inspire his allies. All kobolds that can hear the speech gain advantage on their next attack ability check or saving throw. And then another one's called That's Mine. The Kobold gains an action which they must use immediately to pilfer 1 valuable item from their fallen target and then move their full movement speed away from the battle. That's just 2 of the 8 options. So you could even use these with kobolds outside of this Witchlight setting. So pretty fun. I like it. I like the humor, the playfulness, the versatility of it. There's a lot of different pieces in here. So just adding just a tiny bit of combat. You don't have to add all these encounters. You can add just 1 and have a little bit. So I like it. It's under Witchlight for the combat starved in the links below. Give it a click. Next we have Within Brigands Tollway by Daniel Kahn, $1.99 for 11 pages. And it says, a bramble in the foot of those who cross the swampy bog of Hither, Agdon Longscarf and his notorious brigands have been living large beneath Bevlorna Blightstraw. Few outside of this Harengon crew have seen the inside of Brigands Tollway, where Agdon is the king of thieves, surrounded by the riches of those he's robbed. Fewer still are privy to his wild ambitions of moving up and out from under the thumb of his mistress. What threads might our heroes unwind on their journey to Brigands Tollway? So it says, Hither is the first portion of the Prismere described in The Wild Beyond the Witchlight. Each of the locations presented in this chapter can be explored quickly outside the village of Downfall. This mini-adventure aims to add a new location, the interior of Brigands Tollway, and integrate it seamlessly into the flow of the chapter. At this location, characters can engage in some tactical combat, get some loot to help them in Bevlorna's cottage, and potentially even rescue a guide to thither. It's Brigands Tollway is described as an enormous tree stump, 30 feet tall and 80 feet in diameter, with Harengons camping atop it. The premise is interesting, but by making the stump a hollowed-out base, we can add a lot more exploration, sneaking around, and potential tactical combat. As always, it is up to you how much of the content you want to use. It's perfectly fine to use some parts of the supplement while discarding others, or simply let the ideas presented here inspire new ideas of your own. The supplement assumes a party of 4 to 6 characters of 3rd level with scaling options for 2nd and 4th. So it expands, this area, Brigands Tollway. You've got color VTT maps and advice for Harrigan Brigands. And then for one reason or another, the party needs to infiltrate Brigands Tollway. First, the party must fight, sneak past, or bribe both the guards on watch and the sentries at the front entrance. In the storage room, the party may find an ally and a petrified dryad who can help them heal and sneak further into Brigands Tollway, etc. And that goes, I'm not going to reveal all the adventure there for you, but you can see there's very nice layout with information on marked on the map, as well as really nice maps for you to use for VTT. And this is the 3rd by Dan here. Dan has released previously like the Slanty Tower and 3 at this point that go together to give you expanded adventures in the WoW Beyond the Witchlight. And then there's also the Witchlight Carnival Expanded, just expanding on that as well. And then there is a bundle down here where you can get all 3 of those products together, which is really nice. So if you want to get all 3 of them, I would definitely consider that, because it's a good price. It's only $1.65 to get all 3 for me. Now, I think it's because I have some of them. It might be different price for you, but I would check it out, because I think all 3 of these have really quality art. I mean, look at that cover. It's really beautiful. And the concepts are fun. And the maps are great. You can reuse these maps for other things, I'm sure, as well. So check it out under Within Brigands Tollway in the links below and give it a click. Well, that's our last title for the week. Thank you for watching. Please follow me on Twitter at Splinterverse. Subscribe to this channel. Like the video. Leave a comment. I will respond to all comments. Share the video out there so we can get more exposure to these creators. Click those links in the video description. Support these creators. They work tirelessly for basically the love of it to bring these titles to you. So let's help support them, encourage them to keep going by purchasing those titles. And if you purchase those titles or any title after clicking on those links, you're going to help support the channel as well, because we'll get a tiny little affiliate fee out of that. So that's much appreciated. But if you're feeling especially kind today, consider some of the books from Splinterverse Media. They're listed there in the video description as well in their own little section. We've got Feywild Companion, 150 pages of Feywild stuff for you. Everything from subclasses, spells, magic items, full-fledged adventures, encounters, and lots of tokens and maps in there. Then you've got Potions Unlocked, which is over 100 pages on digital and print on demand of potion fun and potion locations, plants, NPCs, vendors, maps. It's all in there with VTT maps as well. You've got Secrets of the Draugr, a brand new race that combines the Drow and the Duergar with new deities and NPCs and hooks. And then you've got Van Richten's Librum of Lineages, which goes into detail of all the lineages, these new lineages that you can use in Ravenloft or beyond, as well as optional rules to help you manage them. And then the most recent release from Splinterverse Media is Fizban's Vault of Draconic Secrets, which is really the perfect companion, or even its own book on its own, for Fizban's Treasury of Dragons, because it has tons of player-themed dragon content. Everything from subclasses, horde magic items, familiar, hooks, other magic items, spells, you name it, we've got it in there, and it's so much fun and just really brings that dragon flavor. Even if you're not playing a dragon campaign, you can just pick little pieces in there to just add some dragon flavor. People say, this is Dungeons and Dragons, where's the dragons? This book will help you represent that in some way. So check it out. All of those are in the video description in the links there. So thank you so much for your support. I really enjoy doing this for you guys every week and seeing what's new out there and supporting these creators and getting their names out there. So please stay tuned for more fun, and thank you for watching. Until next time, happy adventuring.